one question quick, Patrick. Bud, this is for tomorrow because we have a day game. It's the anniversary of Tony Gwynn's death, and we wanted to mention that on the show. Just give me a few words about Tony, the impact he had on the game and with you and your relationship with Tony Gwynn.
Well,
thanks.
As you guys know, Tony and I, played together, and we were teammates in 1979 at San Diego State. We knew each other prior to that when Tony came to San Diego State as a freshman and was a basketball player. But the thing that will always live with me about Tony is his laugh and his smile in and around the baseball diamond. Tony loved sports. He really did. All sports. And he was passionate about baseball. He loved to practice. He loved to be on the field. He loved to be in the dugout. He just loved to be around it. And I think it showed as time went on, whenever anybody came in contact with Tony at the baseball field, just his joy to be there. And, long career, Hall of Fame career speaks for itself. Got into coaching at, our alma mater. And again, just loved being at the ballpark and loved talking baseball. So, my memory will always be the sound of his laugh, on the bus, in the dugout, in the clubhouse. Even going back to our college days when we'd get off the bus in San Juan Capistrano and pull into McDonald's, and here comes 30 guys with a little bit of money to buy some cheeseburgers and stuff, and Tony just cackling in the back. It's it's still fresh in my memory.
Thank you, Bud.
We'll go back to Patrick. Go ahead, Patrick.
Can you hear me now? Okay.
Yeah, I got you.
Okay. Sorry about that.
No problem.
If we could go back for just a moment to the new enforcement on the substances.
Yeah.
Do you foresee any problems with how they're going to actually enforce this? I know there may be a period of adjustment here, but can you foresee any problems, or do you think this is going to be workable?
I think it'll be doable. I think that the umpires, I'm from my information that there's a lot of experienced umpires in this game who've been umpiring for 15, 20, 25, 30, 35 years, who've been around the game a long time. And the veteran umpires will be the ones who will basically be in charge of this process starting next week, as far as checking players. And the players are aware through the union. The players are aware through our conversations, managers and coaches to players, and players back to us through conversation and dialogue. So I don't foresee this being a problem. I think it's going to be very workable during the course of the game.
I was talking to a number of players, including Tony Walters the other day, and Tony was telling me that there's always been kind of an understanding that the use of, let's say, a rosin bag and some sunscreen, some sweat was a good amount of tackiness to the ball. And he thought, his fear was, he hopes that if they're so strict on this, guys would lose control or command of pitches. And with guys throwing the ball so hard in this era, that he's afraid of injury. He wasn't saying they shouldn't come up with this enforcement, but his big concern was pitchers are going to need that extra something to control the baseball. I'm curious what your thoughts are on that.
Well, yeah, I think there's always been there's always been that, thought that a little bit of tack will help a pitcher control the ball. But as you know, that line has been crossed. So now you have to draw the line somewhere on what's allowable and what's not. So the rosin is going to be allowable, and that's about it. Now pitchers are going to have to adjust. You hear us all the time talk about a game of adjustments, and this is going to be one of them in a very big way. And is it going to happen overnight? No. But pitchers will ultimately learn to throw the baseball and throw it over the plate and change speeds and pitch without having an excessive amount of foreign substances. And I think that's where the intent is meant to be on this, on this enforcement. So, and that's what's going to have to happen. And if pitchers are unable to command the ball or throw strikes, it will show up in their performance. And it will come to the point where if you are a max effort pitcher and you can't control the ball, just like any other performance-driven industry, over time, you won't pitch in the big leagues if you can't do it. I mean, that's, maybe a really broad long-term view, but in the short term, the pitchers are going to have to make some quick adjustments if in fact they do have difficulty commanding the ball. And other guys, it might be relatively easy to do it, depending, again, I don't know the range of usage, Patrick, from, pitcher 1 to, pitcher 450 in the major leagues and all those pitchers in the minors. But it might not be that difficult for most guys. Now, some guys maybe, depending on, how much they needed, how much they felt they needed, the psychological, all that, time will tell.
And one more for me, buddy. Do you wish, in retrospect, that maybe this ruling had come, let's say at the beginning of spring training or something? Because the timing of it, we're mid-June here. You're in the middle of in the middle of the season. You wish the timing was a little bit different, because now guys are going to have to go through a major adjustment right in the middle of the season.
Because, this was brought to everybody's attention in spring training that, this needed to be halted, and basically it wasn't. So after all the studies for the first couple of months, all the investigations over the last couple of months, MLB realizes that this is an issue. It has to stop. So it's stopping now. It was a situation in spring where, like I mentioned, it was addressed and advised, and it wasn't happening. So now it's happening. Does that make sense? I mean,
Makes
Yeah.
complete sense. Thanks, buddy. I
Exactly.
appreciate it.
That's what happened.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks, man.
Yeah.
Go to Thomas Hardy next, and we got a couple more hands. Go ahead, Thomas.
Yes, buddy. First on the enforcement here. And I can remember a time in the late 80s, around 87, when there was a lot of talk about scuffing the baseball. We've seen the spitballs come and go.
Sure.
But has this been more widespread, the use of a tacky substance, in your view, than anything that you've seen during your years in this game?
Yeah, in regards to scuffing, spitballs, Vaseline balls, soap balls. Yes, I do think this is more widespread. To what degree, I don't know, but I do think this is much more widespread than back in the 60s, 70s, 80s when, doctoring the ball meant just what you mentioned, scuffing, applying moisture, those other, a lot of those products that is soap, Vaseline, other stuff that, pitchers put on baseball.
And on another subject, the way that Brendan Rodgers has kind of shown a little bit more confidence here, what role do you think Trevor Story has played in kind of helping him become a big leaguer? I'm talking from, from first coming to camp to now. It seems that Story has, he likes Brendan. He likes that the personality has come out. Have you watched them interact much over these few years?
Well, sure. It's over the years, of course, and I think it was heightened this off season. I think, Trevor reached out to Brendan quite a bit this winter, and then in spring training, I saw a lot of, Trev really with all the infielders. I think you've heard Trevor talk about Trejo. You've heard Trevor talk about Rodgers. Trevor and Mac the last couple of years. All the fellas who are in the middle of the diamond, or all the infielders for that matter, when Stu puts them through their paces in spring training, Trevor is sort of the lead dog, and you can tell that his interactions with all those guys, and I'll include, Welker and Stamets and, Boswell and, all these guys, look up to Trev, and Trev sets a great example. But specifically to Brendan, I think there was, probably a little more involvement and a little bit more interaction, this spring more than any, and it's carried over. Brendan was banged up, right? So he wasn't, able to do a lot here after the hamstring injury in spring training. But to your point, Trev, did participate actively with Brendan in a lot of areas, with infield play.
Was that something that you and the organization encouraged, or did you kind of see Trevor look and say, "Hey, this is going to be a guy, I've got to get him going"?
Well, I think Trev took it upon himself, and which was great. When I talked to Trevor, a number of times this offseason, he had mentioned that he talked to Brendan. So without any encouragement from me or the other coaches.
Thanks, buddy.
Yeah.
All right, last two, we'll go to Kevin Henry, then finish with Nick Rowe. Go ahead, Kevin.
But a couple of quick ones for me. First of all, I know back to the substances, that sunscreen is one of the things that's being banned. Is that any big deal, especially on day games?
I don't think so. Again, Kevin, it goes back to the adjustments that the pitcher's going to have to make. I know it's been, that combination has been, pretty, benign, over the years, but. To MLB's point, you got to draw the line somewhere. Mm-hmm. And I think the combination of, some moisture on the hand via sweat and rosin will, I think, in time suffice for pitchers.
Okay. And then Chichi, in his last outing, gave up the 3 home runs. Is that something coming back into tonight? He just focuses more on location, or were there any adjustments made to kind of keep the long ball hopefully out of play?
Yeah, I don't. Home runs are the greater majority of the time are bad pitches. So you got to make better pitches, bottom line, and that's usually keeping the ball down. Keeping the ball down at the knees or below. And if you elevate the ball, you got to get it high enough to get it over their barrel. And if you do elevate a little bit, you're trying to go in on the hands, you got to get it in. So, home runs are mistakes. Now, there are times when guys, hit good pitches for homers. There's no doubt about that. But Chi-Chi's just got to get the ball in better spots.
Thanks, buddy.
Yeah.
Go ahead and close us out, Nick.
Yeah, hey, buddy, just one follow-up on MLB.
Sure.
Their they concluded that the use of substances has actually endangered hitters more, presumably because it emboldened pitchers to throw more often up and in. Is that something that you agree with what you've seen in your eyes over
Yeah,
this?
I don't know about that, about up and in. I think it's just, I think it, just from a pitcher standpoint, from what I've gathered from my own observation of this and education, is that, with increased tack, the more tack you have and you throw the ball as hard as you can create more spin. So I think the results of pitchers losing control is more relationship to maximum effort to create velocity, as opposed to staying under control, staying within your delivery, and really trying to hit spots under an effort level of getting after it and not being like full max, turn it loose, hard as you can every single pitch. I think that is more of a root cause of a batter being hit.
Okay, so so over the course of the rest of the season, do you think overall in baseball we'll see a drop in velo?
I think potentially that's what that's what some of the people are saying. If it is true that, and some of these reports are coming out, albeit relatively, well, again, I'm not privy to all the velocities league wide all the time. I don't do that research every day, but I will conclude that that could possibly happen, and it wouldn't surprise me if velocities dropped a little bit. It's not going to be drastic, but they could significantly drop